Oh, they did it. They actually did it. The Dallas Mavericks traded for Kyrie Irving. Boom, boom, boom. Imagine explosions going off in the background. I don't have access to my computer, so this isn't the regular edited video you're used to. This is just going to be me rambling in front of the green screen, raw, unfiltered, unedited. I hope that's okay with you. I just wanted to give my updated opinions on the Kyrie Irving trade. Hopefully later in the week, I'll do like a legitimate deep dive as to why I'm so excited about this trade. But for the time being, I just wanted to put something out here to give you guys a little bit of an update. I streamed immediately after the trade happened, probably 5 or 10 minutes after the trade happened. So if you want to look at my raw, emotional, in the moment reaction, that VOD is still up. You can go check it out. But after, a nights of sleep, even though it wasn't a lot of sleep, you have to excuse my appearance. I know that I'm dressed impeccably, but everything else is ghastly. I'm on like 3 hours of sleep, okay? But I just wanted to talk about this, give my updated feelings on it, and discuss why I like this trade so much for the Dallas Mavericks. And first and foremost, I want to say this. I do acknowledge that there are some pretty considerable risks and concerns for this trade. This isn't a flawless trade. This isn't a risk-free home run swing. Boom, grand slam, nothing to worry about, right? There's a lot that could go wrong here. And I feel like before even talking about a Kyrie Irving trade, you have to address the elephants in the room. There are plural on elephants. There are multiple different things you have to address when you're talking about Kyrie Irving. First and foremost, he is an injury risk. Like that's very much real. This is a guy who has not been the picture of health over the last couple of years, and that's something that's concerning. I think he's played less games than KP over the last 4 years. Granted, a lot of those games are missed due to the vaccine mandate, and vaccine mandates don't exist anymore, and Kyrie Irving is now in Texas, where, trust me, people haven't given a shit here about COVID pretty much the entire time, okay? So he's fine in that department. But there's also, like, some games missed due to mental health breaks and stuff, and I want to be clear, like, I can't shit on Kyrie for that because I'm a believer in those. I think if you need to take time off for, to get a better grip of your mental health, you should 100% be able to do that. That's an opinion I have held. You can go look at my Twitter. I tweeted about it specifically because I actually went back and looked. I tweeted specifically about this exact scenario with Kyrie Irving like a year ago when this was all going down, and I supported him because I think that that's important stuff. So yeah, all of that stuff is a concern. And then you have the other stuff, right? The other elephants in the room. Just so I had a better understanding of what happened, I went back and reread all of the stuff that happened 4 months ago. This was 4 months ago. It feels like 4 fucking years ago, but it was actually 4 months ago when Kyrie shared that documentary, got suspended by the Nets, and then had to do that. It was like a 5-step program to get reinstated by the Nets. And I didn't watch the documentary, but I've seen screen grabs from it and stuff, and there's some vile shit said in there. I mean, it's absolutely wild. And, I don't know Kyrie Irving personally, so I don't know if he believes everything said in there. I don't even know if he believes anything said in there. But the fact that he has a platform as big as he did, and he shared something like that, it's stupid at best, and it's harmful and dangerous at worst, right? Especially in today's climate. So I don't support anything that was in that documentary. I don't even know if Kyrie does 100%. But I do want to say this, he had a pretty heartfelt apology in like a couple of weeks later. It did take a couple of weeks, but he did everything the Nets asked him to do. They felt good enough to reinstate him. And remember, at the time when this all happened, there were talks that on the sports talk shows and the podcast, people were legitimately saying, is Kyrie Irving ever going to play again? Teams might not want him at all. He might be out of the league. He might have played his last game. That's how serious this shit was. I want to remind you of that. And the Nets reinstated him. And after reading everything that Kyrie said and stuff, I don't think he's a hateful guy. I just don't. I don't think that he has hate in his heart for anybody. I think he's very misguided. And I think a guy with a platform as big as he has, that could be potentially dangerous, as we've seen. But I just don't think that he's a harmful person. And I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. And I know there are some Mavs fans who feel they can't be fans of the team anymore, and that's a respectable thing. But it sucks that happened. It sucks that people feel their fanhood is questioned because of this. It's just a bad situation, all in all. But let's move on to some of the other stuff. And also, I do want to say, I do think Kyrie's gotten a bad rep. I do. And I've believed this for a long time. This isn't just because Kyrie is now a member of the Dallas Mavericks. I do believe he's gotten kind of a weird rep with the media. He doesn't like the media. The media doesn't like him. So because of that, I don't think they cover him with 100% genuine feelings. I think that there's definitely always going to be a slant from the media towards Kyrie. They use him as a punching bag. He's just this go-to. Oh, Kyrie said this dumb shit. All right, guys, fire up the fucking cameras. It's going to be a week's worth of content shitting all over this guy. I think some of it's unfair. I think he's a quirky dude. I think that has some misguided beliefs, but I don't think he's like this super terrible person that I've seen people make it out to be. Okay, so let's talk about the trade, and let's talk about why I like it so much. Just some stuff that I have popped into my head. First and foremost, I mentioned this in the days leading up to the trade whenever I was banging the war drums and I was spreading propaganda and I was saying the Mavericks need to do this. Whenever it came out, Kyrie requested a trade, I was saying the Mavericks need to do this, they need to do this. They got a legitimate star-level player. I wouldn't say superstar. I only think there's like 6 or 7 of those in the league. But a legitimate star-level player for 50 cents on the dollar. I mean, look around the league. Look around the trade market over the past couple of years. A player of this talent level should not be going for this cheap, right? Of course, he was a distressed asset, 100%. But the Mavericks, this is a move they have to make. They're not in some safe, secure place as a franchise where they have all this young talent, they have all these picks, like things are looking good in the future. They don't have that stuff, right? I always thought that the Mavericks trade package for a second star was very, very overrated, like incredibly overrated, right? They would get outbid by pretty much any buying team in the summer if a legitimate second star became available, right? So the Mavericks get a second star, a player who can be a second star for relatively cheap. Obviously, Dorian Finney-Smith, losing him sucks. Losing Dinwiddie sucks. The first round pick that they lost sucks, but there's just a price that you have to pay, right? I thought that it was going to be Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie. I didn't think it would cost Dorian and a pick, so it's a little bit more expensive than I thought, but I still think it's worth it. And for people saying like the Mavericks overpaid or nobody wants Kyrie and Kyrie's such a distressed asset, who would want him? There was like 4 pretty considerable offers on the table for the guy, like Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and picks. Chris Paul is pretty washed up. Jay Crowder, we haven't seen play all season. But that's a decently sized package. Like, that's the Suns punting on Chris Paul. The Clippers gave up pretty much anything they had to give up. Offered Terrence Mann, which isn't nothing. Terrence Mann, they like him a lot. Luke Kennard, really good player. Picks, like, they don't even have that many picks to deal with. And the Lakers were willing to give up 27 and 29. Like, this was going to be their all-in move. So the Mavericks get a guy that was coveted across the league, and for good reason, because he's fucking amazing when he's on the basketball court, guys. Kyrie's always had one of my favorite games to watch. I mean, if you just watch him play purely from a basketball standpoint, it's impossible to not be amazed by the stuff that this guy does night in and night out when he's on the floor, right? His ability to dribble, probably the best ball handler of all time, one of the best finishers of all time. When he gets hot, it is nuclear. Like, it is absolutely nuclear. There's nothing you can do to stop him. I'm thinking that play-in game, was it last year? I think it was last year against the Cavs, where he was like 15 of 15 shooting or some crazy shit like that. Like, it was absolutely unbelievable what this guy's capable of doing. And now the Mavericks have that. It's the most talented player Luka's played with by far. And unless something crazy happens over the next 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to be the most talented player Luka plays with for the next half decade or so. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited because the Mavericks usually don't do shit like this. And I'm excited because this legitimately raises your ceiling. Okay? The Mavericks did not really have a championship ceiling. They do have that now. They have to make other moves, right? And I think they will between now and the trade deadline. But now you have this championship ceiling. Now you have the best backcourt in the NBA by a lot. Now you have maybe the best duo in the NBA, right? And 2 guys who have proven they can do it in a playoff setting. I think some of Kyrie's playoff struggles are a little bit overblown, right? He was awesome with the Cavaliers. I know that was a long time ago, but he was amazing with the Cavs. And he's 30. It's not like he's fucking 45 years old, right? And outside of one terrible year with the Celtics, he hasn't been that bad in the playoffs. I still believe to this day that they're Kevin Durant's toe being on the line and Kyrie Irving, a freak injury where Giannis lands on him. They're those 2 things away from being champions that year. Like, they are winning it all that season that the Bucks won. They would have beat the Bucks, they would have beat the Hawks, they would have beat the Suns, right? So I still believe that you're getting a guy who you could pair alongside Luka. And I mean, I just think about the possibilities, man. Luka drives and kicks out to Kyrie, who can either catch and shoot. I think he's like 38% on catch and shoot threes this year, which is down for him. He's usually well above 40% from his career each and every season. But he gets good looks on catch and shoots. He can shoot those, doesn't even need that much space. He can aggressively attack closeouts, and we know how good of a finisher he is. He's a good playmaker. He can pass out of those closeouts. You get another guy who is a split-second decision maker, which is the stuff the Mavericks desperately need on this roster, and a guy who, hey, all right, Luka, I don't feel like bringing the ball up. I'm going to take this possession off. Here you go, Kyrie. Like, go to work. Luka, we're going to sit you. Luka's in foul trouble, or you just want to stagger some minutes. Kyrie, get out there and lead the bench unit. Boom, he can go off. Right, Luka, we're going to rest you this game. Kyrie, boom, go off. This is the stuff that I'm really excited about. I have some notes here. I mean, look at my handwriting. I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of my handwriting. I have some stuff here. Okay, obviously we know Kevin Durant has been injured this year. He's been out like a month or so. They were, I think, the 2 seed whenever he went down with an injury, and they've fallen off a little bit. But I want to point this out: they're 6-7 this year without Kevin Durant, which isn't good, obviously, but it's not terrible. Like if you were to look around the league, if the best player, and especially like MVP level players like Kevin Durant is, they go down with injuries, usually their teams fall off pretty dramatically. But for the Nets to be 6-7, a lot of that has to do with Kyrie Irving. The Nets have a +4 net rating when Kyrie is on the floor and Kevin Durant is off. So Kyrie is more than capable of holding his own. And we know for the Mavericks how important something like this is. They're 0-7 when Luka doesn't start. 0-7. I'll give them 1-7 when Luka doesn't play because he got hurt like 2 minutes into the Suns game and the Mavs won that. But still, they're 28-19 when he plays. That's a 49-win pace. They would comfortably be the 3 seed right now if Luka didn't sit back-to-backs and didn't have to sit because he had to carry such a load offensively, which now hopefully that's not the case anymore. Look at some of the on-off numbers for Luka. Mavs are +4 when Luka's on the floor. That's a 53-win pace. They are -5.6 when he is off the floor. That is a gigantuan swing. You look at the offensive stuff. They have an offensive rating of 120 when he's on the floor. I think the best offensive rating in the league is the Nuggets. I think it's like 115 or something like that. Obviously, if you just look at the best players in the league, their offensive ratings, it's going to be around here usually, so it's not really saying much. But it is a 108 net rating, offensive rating, when Luka's off the floor. 120 when he's on, 108 when he's off. A +13 swing for Luka, which is the 4th biggest in all of basketball behind 3 different Nuggets players. I think it's Jokic, obviously, KCP, and Aaron Gordon. I want to say this, right? You go look at some on-off numbers for the Nuggets. It will change how you view advanced metrics with Jokic. I'm just saying. It's not a secret that the Nuggets starting 5 is all like top 10 in that rating because they're awesome whenever they're on the floor, of course. But they also run 5-man starting units more than anybody in the league, and they don't really stagger starters. So that sort of leads to these crazy on-off numbers. I'm just saying, I'm not here to bash anybody, but I'm just saying, right, it skews some stuff. Okay, so the Mavericks get a guy who Luka's having an off night, or Luka doesn't play at all, or Luka's serving a suspension because he just got his 13th fucking technical, which is coming up soon. Like, they're able to plug in Kyrie Irving, who's more than capable of carrying them to a win, right? Who's more than capable of carrying the team when Luka is going off. And I'm not saying, like, Spencer Dinwiddie's a great player, but he's more of a complementary piece, right? Kyrie Irving gives you, like, what Jalen Brunson gave you a year ago on steroids, right? On steroids. Like 2 times what Jalen Brunson gave you a year ago. We know how good Brunson was last year. And Kyrie gives you that. I'm not worried about on-court stuff at all. Some of these on-court concerns that I've seen people, it's the same tired ass, oh, well, Luka's a fucking ball hog, and he can't play with anybody, and nobody's going to want to play with his ass. Can you politely shut the fuck up? Like, please. Like, at least come with something more. And I hate even more these narratives are like, oh, well, is Kyrie cool with deferring to Luka? Like, are we sure Kyrie's going to be cool? It's like, dude, Kyrie has been the number 2 his whole fucking career. And even more than that, he's been the number 3. He's played next to LeBron James and James Harden and Kevin Durant. I think he's going to be okay. I think he's a little bit experienced when it comes to this type of stuff, okay? All right? How about him and James Harden, right? Luka gets compared to James Harden all the time. It's a comparison that doesn't make me as mad as it makes other Mavs fans. But how about this? 907 minutes. That's all that duo played together, 907 minutes. They had a 121 offensive rating. Dynamite. Electric. How about the 2021 playoffs? Listen to this shit. They were +30, a +30 net rating in 139 minutes when Harden and Kyrie were on the floor together, eviscerating teams. Like, that trio was dominant, and they were winning the finals. If Harden didn't get hurt, if Kyrie didn't get hurt, if KD's foot wasn't on the line, that team is winning a championship, and we are having a completely different discussion, okay? A completely different discussion. How about this? How about this as well? The Mavericks have a 110 offensive rating in the 4th quarter, which is 21st in the entire NBA, despite the fact that they have one of the best offenses in the league. And they are -4.6, a -4.6 net rating in the 4th quarter, 4th worst in all basketball. Who are you bringing in? Who's the guy you're bringing in? You're bringing in the best 4th quarter scorer in the league. Kyrie Irving leads the league in points per game in the 4th, which is like with 9.6 or something like that, and a 90% free throw shooter in the 4th quarter. The Mavericks, as we know, are the worst clutch shooting free throw team in all of basketball. It is dire. It has lost them games. Now you're bringing in a legitimately great free throw shooter, like they actually have a good free throw shooter. Before this, they actually did not have one. No, I'm not saying like a great free throw shooter. Like, they actually didn't have a good free throw shooter, and now they have a legitimately great one, and that's going to help tremendously. So I'm very excited about all of that. And listen, I understand, right? I get there's a lot of baggage that comes with Kyrie Irving. I get that. Trust me. But I feel like as fans, if you're going to stick along for the ride, like let's have a bit of a positive outlook on this. Okay? I know I'm way more positive about this than a lot of people. But let's try to be a little bit more, woo, we got Kyrie Irving for really looking at his talent level, not as much as you would usually give up for a guy this fucking good, especially in today's trade market. Okay? Like, I went on the Mavericks subreddit, terrible place, horrible place. I go on the Mavericks subreddit, the most liked post of the whole day is like this meme where Kyrie Irving's the Grim Reaper. You guys know what meme I'm talking about. And he's going door to door, knocking on the doors, and there's blood coming out of all the doors, and it's the Cavs, it's the Celtics, it's the Nets, and then it's the Mavericks. God, like, that's the most upvoted post. Not like, oh my God, we got Luka's second star. Oh my God, like, I'm cautious, but I'm really excited. Like, this doomer ass shit. This fan base just likes doing nothing. They do. They like doing nothing. They like this fucking treadmill that they're constantly on. They love it. They want to pretend like they don't. They do. They love the idea of getting guys. They don't actually love getting guys. They don't love making moves. They don't love trading guys away. They don't love any of that shit. They love the idea of it. The front office feeds them the idea. They get mad at the front office for feeding them the idea, never coming through, but they actually deep down love it. Like, that's the reality. They don't understand that this is the position the Mavericks are in. They're not in the position that they think they are, where they can wait until the summer and make this big move for a second star. What if the second star is not available? Huh? What if the trade market's not as robust as you all think it's going to be? Or what if teams just do not value the Mavericks package at all, which they probably wouldn't? Then you're making a DeJounte Murray trade. And let me tell you, that's not like a DeJounte Murray level trade, by the way. I'm not saying DeJounte Murray specifically. But getting a top, 50 player compared to getting a top 15 guy who, yes, there's some risks and some downsides, but if this connects, and I want to say, the stupid-ass Grim Reaper, dude, he won a ring in Cleveland, okay? He won a ring. Sure, it was a little bit rough whenever he left, but he won a ring. And guess what? They would have won a ring in Brooklyn. And let me say this about Brooklyn, right? Everybody wants to get mad at Kyrie and blame Kyrie. James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, all requested a trade within a year. James Harden barely even spent a whole year on the team before he wanted the fuck out. But it's all Kyrie Irving's fault. All of it is Kyrie Irving's fault. That's what they're telling. I mean, that doesn't really align with reality, but that's what they're saying. I don't know. I'm cautious. I'm excited. I mean, I'm pumped up. This dramatically improves the ceiling of this team, dramatically raises the ceiling. Yes, there are some concerns, but these are the type, for me, I expected this because this is the type of moves this team has to make. They have to make the risks. They have to go for it all because they have put themselves in a position where we're year 5 of Luka, going on year 6 next year, and you look at the team, and the talent isn't where a lot of other contenders are, and the assets aren't where a lot of other teams are. So you're in a really rough spot. And this was a trade that really improves your situation. It really does. So I'm excited about it. I get being concerned. I get being worried 100%. If some of the stuff Kyrie Irving has done in the past is just too much for you, that sucks, man. That just really does. I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm sorry that you feel like the team that you root for has just burned your trust to the ground. That's a terrible feeling. But if you're here, if you're sticking around, let's at least pretend to be excited, because it is exciting. It's exciting times.